thousands of years lay submerged beneath the Mediterranean. The treasures belong to two sunken cities.
Something really big is lurking down there.
It's so rare to get inside.
We're getting our first look at a remarkable piece of Middle Eastern history in addition to the Dead Sea Scrolls.
But what is genuine? And what is fake?
Back under the sea, take a look at the giant fossil of a sea reptile recently found in the middle of England.
And we call it the Amazon.
15 most shocking and mysterious recent archaeological discoveries that could rewrite world history. Hello, everyone. Archaeology has surprised us with many new things in the past few years, from valuable artifacts to old wrecks. Not only artifacts, but also many old skeletons have been found during excavations. Each one has its own creepy story. We'll look into the mysteries that have been buried for thousands of years by these ancient remains that were found by archaeologists. Discovery of the 26.5 million-year-old giant rhino fossil. Scientists think that the fossils of two huge rhinos were formed about 26.5 million years ago. They were found in China. These results are a big deal in the history of science, and they give us new information about what Asia looked like millions of years ago. The giant rhinos that were just found were a lot bigger than rhinos today. The species names are Paris, Ethereum link, and CN. The weight of this ancient rhino was about 48,000 pounds, which is the same as 8 adult white rhinos or 4 fully grown African elephants. At the shoulder, it was about 16.4 feet tall, and its body was about 36 feet long. Its head could grow to be about 23 feet tall. Because it is so huge, Ethereum linke is even bigger than the woolly giant that earned it, the name of the first and biggest land animal that ever lived. One of the fossils found had a skull, teeth from the jawbone, and the vertebrae that connect the brain to the spine. The other one was made up of 3 cervical vertebrae. Scientists were able to piece together the old animal from these specimens and decided that it was different enough to be called a new species. Researchers say that giant rhinos used to live in many places in Asia. Pakistan, China, Mongolia, and Kazakhstan were all part of that area. The Ethereum genus was the amal, the huge rhino species that lived in the most places. The most surprising thing about the find for experts is what it means for ecosystems in ancient Asia. It shows the presence of highly productive vegetation in the regions where these massive mammals lived. As the Earth's climate got much drier, most giant animals died out. Arid conditions during the Oligocene, epoch about 34 to 23 million years ago, killed off big forests that many large mammals relied on for food. The giant rhino managed to stay alive for a long time, despite this change in its surroundings. Skeletons still holding hands after 700 years. In England, a skeleton that is 700 years old was still holding hands. The body was found at the site of a long-lost church. Double graves happen all the time, but archaeologists found 2 skeletons buried next to each other. The skeletons were still holding hands after being buried for over 700 years. The amazing thing about this find is that the bodies were found at the Church of Saint-Maure, a place that had been lost to history until local historians and a team of scholars recently found it again. Not in the main parish church of the area, where the 2 people were buried. Vicky Score, one of the lead researchers, said that this confused the experts. Still unanswered is why these people were buried at Saint-Maure when Hallen already had a well-known and working church. This makes it more likely that the now-lost church had a special purpose for burial. At the time, experts think that the site may have been a pilgrimage stop in Hallen, a village in eastern Leicestershire that is set in the countryside. On the other hand, the couple could have been outcasts, criminals, or sick people who were buried there instead of in the main graveyard. Archaeologists from the Archaeological Services at the University of Leicester, together with people from the area, amateurs have been digging up the site of the lost Church of Saint-Maure for the past 4 years. The spot has been used since Roman times, which is about 2,000 years ago. So far, excavations have uncovered parts of the church's walls and stone foundations, along with fragments of plaster tiles and masonry extending from the windows and surrounding a nearby cemetery. There were several silver coins from the 12th century to the 16th century that were found. Using radiocarbon dating, these coins helped experts figure out when the church was active. Archaeologists came to the conclusion that all 11 bodies found at the site are most likely from the 1400s. Mysterious Phaistos disc. That no one can decode, each body was buried facing east to west, which was the norm at the time for Christian burials. The ancient CD that no one can decode is called the Phaistos disc, and it comes from the Minoan society in Greece. It is a 6.3-inch clay disc that was made about 3,700 years ago and has a number of pictographic symbols carved into it. Archaeologists have been puzzled by these symbols for decades, but they are thought to be the world's oldest known form of printed text. The Technological Educational Institute of Crete's Dr. Gareth Owens thinks he may have figured out what this old artifact's symbols and message mean. There are 241 pictographs on the disc, each representing a different person. There are pictures of men running, women, children, animals, birds, insects, tools, weapons, and trees. Dr. Owens suggests that the disc include a prayer to the Minoan great goddess. A keyword on the disc that sounds like Ica is thought to mean mother-to-be. It looks like one side of the disc is dedicated to a woman who is pregnant, while the other shows a woman giving birth. Italian archaeologists found the Phaistos disc in 1903 while working on the ruins of the Minoan palace at Phaistos in southern Crete. To this day, researchers and archaeologists from all over the world are still interested in the artifact because of the mysterious writing on it, which is thought to be sunken treasure off the coast of Egypt, sunken temples and lost treasures of Egypt. A team of underwater archaeologists, led by French maritime archaeologist Frank Gaudio, has discovered remarkable new findings at the Temple of Amun in the ancient port city of Thessalon, located in Abu Kiribeh, Egypt. The group looked into the city's southern river and found that huge stone blocks from the temple had fallen during what they called a terrible flood in the middle of the 2nd century BCE. In ancient times, the Temple of the Moon was a holy place where the Egyptian gods would give their power to the pharaohs. Silver tools used in ceremonies, gold jewelry, and broken perfume or ointment jars were some of the valuable things that were found. These discoveries show how rich the refuge was and how religiously devoted the people who lived in the ancient ports were. Archaeologists found a Greek shrine dedicated to the goddess Aphrodite to the east of the temple. It was there that bronze and ceramic objects were found that showed Greek settlers who were allowed to live and trade in the city during the Saint Dynasty had places to worship their own gods. The finding of Greek weapons adds to the evidence that the area was inhabited by Greek hired guns, who may have manned the entrance to the kingdom at the Canopy branch of the Nile, the river's largest and most navigable channel. Along with these artifacts, the team also found underground buildings from the 5th century BCE that were held up by well-preserved wooden columns and beams. The European Institute for Underwater Archaeology was the first to find the Cleon's bones, IEASM, in the year 2000. The city has been underwater for hundreds of years, about 4.3 miles off the coast of Egypt. Before Alexandria was built by Alexander the Great in 331 BCE, Cleon was Egypt's largest port on the Mediterranean. But the city ultimately fell because of higher sea levels, earthquakes, and tsunamis, all of which caused a process known as soil liquefaction. So about 42 square miles of the Nile Delta, including Thena Cleon, fell into the water. Dead Sea Scrolls and their 2,000-year-old preservation secret scientists have recently found out an interesting truth about the best-preserved Dead Sea Scroll. It is one of almost 1,000 ancient manuscripts found in more than a dozen caves near Qumran in the eastern Judean desert, West Bank. It was written between 408 BCE and 318 BCE. One of the most important old books ever found is the Dead Sea Scrolls. Their primary content includes the Hebrew Bible, the oldest known version of the text, which contains many important historical references. In order to keep the scrolls safe from the Romans, they were kept in clay jars and hidden in caves. Scientists have been trying to figure out one of the biggest riddles about the scrolls for decades. How were they able to stay alive for over 2,000 years when they were written on paper, an organic material that should have broken down a long time ago? Recently, Professor Mir Masek, who is part of the current study team, helped figure out the secret to their long-lasting quality. A mysterious salt mixture that was used when they were made. X-ray and Raman spectroscopy were used to look at a very small piece of a scroll that was only 0.04 inches thick under a microscope. The group found a special salt mix that is made up of sulfur, sodium, and calcium, a mix of chemicals that isn't naturally found in the Dead Sea area. The paper was soaked up with this brine-like solution and left to dry. Then more salt was worked into the surface. Through this process, a substance was made that would not break down for 2,000 years and looked much whiter than regular paper. Animal hides were carefully dehaired, defatted, scraped, and stretched to make the base of this paper. Professor Masek says that the scroll's survival is even more amazing than it seems. The scrolls were mostly damaged after they were found, when modern experts tried to soften and unroll them so they could be read and analyzed. The research also found that the mineral layer is hygroscopic, which means it takes in water from the air and can damage the material when it is taken out of the cave. This finding makes it even more important to be very careful when handling or studying the Dead Sea Scrolls in the future. Sea dragon fossil in England's Rutland Nature Reserve. An amazing fossil find was made in the UK in the beautiful Rutland Nature Reserve in England. Archaeologists found a huge body that they first thought belonged to a dinosaur. After more research, it was found to be a sea dragon, also called an ichthyr. These were ancient marine reptiles from about 90 million years ago. Being about 32 feet long and having a head that is 6 feet long and weighs about 2,200 pounds. People think it's the biggest and most complete fossil of its kind ever found in the UK. About 100 to 80 million years ago, sea dragons lived in the waters around Britain. They were at the top of the food chain during the Jurassic period, living with dinosaurs. They were probably some of the biggest animals that have ever lived in the ocean. The specimen was found by accident in January 2021, when the water levels were dropped at Rutland Water, England's largest reservoir, to make the area a better place for birds to live. At first, people thought the exposed remains were old water lines that had been buried in the ground. Even though they looked like vertebrae at first glance, the local officials were called to make sure. Soon after, a group of paleontologists carefully dug up the huge skeleton over the course of 2 weeks in August and September. After that, the fossil was protected from damage by being wrapped in plaster and wooden braces. It is being cleaned, conserved, and studied right now, and it will be shown to the public in 18 to 24 months. Ing & Water. The company that runs Rutland Water said that in the 1970s, 2 less complete iosaur fossils were found in the area. This discovery is particularly interesting, though, because it was made in the middle of nowhere, far from any current coastline. Dr. Dean Lomax, the paleontologist who was in charge of the dig, said that he hoped this find would help fill in important gaps in our knowledge about the osos in the UK. Mysterious circles of the Amazon jungle. The mysterious circles of the Amazon continue to stump researchers and captivate people all over the world with their mystery. These circles are found deep in the Amazon jungle of Brazil. The mysterious purpose or history of these structures seems to elude all efforts to fully understand them. They remain a jungle secret. Some ideas say the circles might have been places of burial or parts of old defense systems, but solid proof is still hard to come by. Others have thought there might be a connection to mysterious flying objects. UFOs say the circles were there before the Amazon jungle was even fully formed. Another well-known idea is that they were made by humans in the past. Who lived in the area in the past? But the question still stands. Why did these people build such complicated and precise buildings in the middle of the jungle? Like the strange Nazca lines in Peru, no one knows where the Amazonian rings really came from. They might be the result of natural events, or they might be the result of people's amazing thought and creativity. Even though there are a lot of open questions about the circles, they are a powerful reminder of the Amazon's rich cultural and historical depth. They will stay one of the world's great mysteries until clear answers are found, by adding another level of magic and wonder to the Amazon jungle forest.